Good morning, everyone. This is the Vermont House Committee on Commerce and Economic Development. And Friday, January 16th, 2026 at 10:27 in the morning. We're back here to finish up the report from our legislative intern, Cabot. So Cabot, thank you for your flexibility. We certainly appreciate it, but more importantly, we really like to hear what you have discovered and our counterparts in the Senate. Before we start, welcome back, Representative Cooper. Glad to have you back with us in person. Congratulations again on your twin spur. I'm glad to see that you've got some rest.
All right. Once again, for the record, Cabot Sales, UVM, legislative intern. I'll pick up where I left off, which is S-125, an act relating to collective bargaining. This bill was vetoed last session, and it was the majority opinion of the committee that they would not continue to work on the bill this session. Moving on, international trade and business recruitment. This was another overview and general priorities. The top issues, tariffs, trade regarding Canada specifically, and Canadian companies are looking to expand into Vermont to avoid tariffs. That was a sticking point that they were talking about. And there were no numbers or stats given on the economic trade impact of tariffs at the moment. Major trends that they're noticing are outside interests, outside businesses, not just in Canada, looking to expand into Vermont, especially into Vermont's bordering towns. They discussed the state trade expansion program, which is $250,000 in federal funding. There's some uncertainty about that program continuing. Last year, it did support 43 companies in Vermont. And they also discussed semiconductor manufacturing and recruiting Southeast Asian companies to include Vermont in the supply chain for semiconductor manufacturing. Other efforts that they're working on include partnering with foreign countries that have similarities to Vermont. They noted Austria and Iceland specifically, and not much data or information regarding what that would look like. They're asked the committee, they discussed a Canadian market representative. They also will be receiving, it was unclear, either $150,000 or $300,000 in funding from the state over the next 2 years. They discussed the importance of revitalization for infrastructure that could be attractive to outside businesses coming into the state. And they also talked about the Vermont brand and promoting that as a selling point for outside business. The committee requested a follow-up to discuss specific barriers that they could address for international trade. After that was VEDA, the Vermont Economic Development Authority. This was another overview and priorities. They gave an overview of VEDA's recent work, and they highlighted the recent success of venture capital investments that VEDA has been making, though they did not provide any specific return information on that. Their ask to the committee was to be included as a lender in commercial housing projects. So VEDA would be able to lend to housing projects, not as a primary lender, but if other lenders are unavailable, they would be able to step in and lend at their favorable rates. Other priorities for VEDA include increasing outreach and awareness of VEDA's offerings for businesses in Vermont. They want to do more lending to venture capital backed entities and get in at an earlier stage of business development than they previously have to help more businesses grow. And then lastly, Advance Vermont. Tom Cheney with Advance Vermont, which is a nonprofit that's focused on post-secondary readiness in Vermont. So career paths and educational paths after high school. He provided an overview of the work that they're doing and some upcoming actions, including being more intentional and consistent with post-secondary planning throughout the entire educational process. They are, recognizing changes in the post-secondary experience. So the experience people are having after high school is changing, and they really want to create a pathway for students to be able to manage that transition more effectively. Increasing awareness regarding usership of their platform. They have a lot of tools, but they really want to focus on getting more data on the impact they're actually having on students using these tools and getting a wider reach through various ways, including making trusted adults aware that these tools are available. The people who students goes to say, hey, what do I do after high school? Making them aware of these tools. And his ask to the committee was to lay a foundation to formalize K through 12 career and education, and K through 12 transformation and CTE reform. So create a more formalized and consistent way of defining what the pathway is from K through 12 and CTE to post-secondary experiences, because right now the understanding of that is fairly fragmented and talked about in different ways across the state. And he also asked for $600,000, which is up from $150,000 that he received last year from the state. And that concludes my report for this week. Yeah.
My question pertains to that last point.
Yeah.
Was he envisioning, envisioning that Advance Vermont would be the entity laying that foundation, and that's why the ask is increased?
Yes. So I think he wants, he didn't say specifically whether he wants to lay that foundation. I think based on the work that he's doing, he in some ways is. I think he wants more awareness in schools of his tools that are available and more people using the tools that already exist. Whereas right now it's really an ad hoc type of thing and building that awareness.
Thank you.
That was my understanding.
What was that ask for this coming year?
600,000.
Questions? Okay. Cabot, thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, I know, is anyone from DFR coming over, or did we invite them? Probably not. But I think. Yeah, they said, I think they were fine with your edits. I did see that. Yeah, Lana. Thank you, Maria.
You again? Sorry.
Yeah, the new, yeah, the check.
Not on our webpage yet, right?
No.
Waiting to get into the Zoom meeting, sorry. Okay, here we go. Okay, Maria Royal with Legislative Council. And so what I've just pulled up and what we can walk through is a draft Commerce Amendment to the DFR bill, which is H 648. Sorry, trying to keep track of my bills. And what I did is all of the changes that you requested yesterday, I included in here and I highlighted them in yellow, and we'll just go through each one. I didn't always show the stricken language just to make it faster to get the final draft, but I can tell you what was there. So the very first change is wherever there was oath to include or affirmation. I think there were four. I did a word search, so I believe all of those were caught. And then the next change, I believe is on page 4. You know how you changed consumer litigation fundings are no longer registered or licensed. There was just one instance that we had missed. Okay, and then I'm going to go to page 10. Sorry for all the scrolling. And the change that's here, this is just a suggestion by DFR. It had said, responding to the commissioner's stated reason or reasons for the denial. Wanted to change the language to refusing the renewal request, just to make it much clearer. And then on the following page, this was where you wanted to add a comma. Information obtained during comma or for comma. This was with regard to examinations and the submission of information. And then oath or affirmation, that's on page 12. And I'm going to go all the way to 37. I forgot my glasses, so sorry. Okay, that's pretty close. Are those readers?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. You know, I was gonna bring
They're not very strong, so before you get excited, they might
no,
not
but
be
they're
strong.
better. They're better than what I got. That's so funny. I was about to grab mine. I'm like, oh, I don't need them. I can see just fine. Nope. So, and then this was just the requested change. Instead of the existing language of financial institution, just use person, which is more general and broader. And now I'm going to jump to page 46. Oh, just minor. I had forgotten to add just the reader assistance, because the first reader assistance is banking, financial and related services, the money transmitters and so on. This next section is with respect to the institutions, banks, credit unions. And then there are a few sections. This was that language about if the governing body doesn't meet monthly, appointing an executive committee that meets monthly. No substantive changes. DFR just wanted the language in each of those 3 sections to just match. So that happens also in this following section on the next page. And then we're going to go to page 56. Same thing. This was just so now it reads identically, 2 separate sentences. Only 2 more. The next one is on page 63. Oath or affirmation. And finally, a minor change on page 77. Oops, just correcting a typo. Never get it right. Someone's going to need to show me how to just go to the right page. A person found by the commissioner or a court to have engaged, it said have, it just forgot the 2. And those are all of the changes in this draft strike all amendment. And I did share a copy yesterday with Joe, and I don't want to speak for the department, but he said it looked fine, so.
Any questions for Maria on the amendments? Maria, thank you. Thank you. Departments as well. That from the rubbish one at this. Okay. Okay. So I would entertain a motion to report favorably on draft 1.1 strike all amendment to
1.2,
1.2.
the draft without the highlighting is gonna be 1.2.
Okay, thank you. A motion, entertain a motion to report favorably on H 648 strike all amendment 1.2.
I so move. I move, do I have to say it all out? I move,
No,
we report favorably.
So it's been moved. Second, okay, moved by Representative Duke, second by Representative Bosch. Is there any further discussion? If not, the acting clerk can call the roll.
Representative Bosch,
Yes.
Representative Booth,
Yes.
Representative Kara Duncan is online. Representative Cooper,
Yes.
Representative Duke,
Yes.
Representative Miklas,
Yes.
Representative Olson,
Yes.
Representative Priestley is absent. Representative White votes yes. Representative Branning,
Yes.
Representative Markov,
Yes,
10-0-1.
like to report.
Yes. I don't want to nothing.
If anyone else
Yeah,
wants to do
exactly.
it, but I'll be happy to help the committee.
Dave, you haven't done one yet?
Yeah, okay.
I did one last year.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Michael's the only one. who hasn't.
Oh, you're the only one who hasn't.
Because like
Dave.
we report on bills that like I really don't fully understand and it really frustrates me. And you can go through it like 20 times, but it's just some of this stuff is really confusing for me. So if there's like a script, I'll just read it and then at the end of the thing, I'll just say interrogations are by nature aggressive. Please don't ask any questions.
That'll work. Or you can just yield to the chair.
What's that?
You want to report it?
I'm happy to, unless.
I don't, I mean, I will do it because I feel like I'm obligated.
There'll be a bill that we do that you'll be comfortable with.
Which one is that?
Whatever.
We'll find.
There will be one.
We'll get one. Don't know what it is yet.
You the reporter?
First.
Give the former
You're the man, Maria.
agency.
Okay, great. Maria, thank you.
Said that on.
Copy. Anna Grace.
Okay, great. Thank you. So you found paperwork on your desk. Just a memorandum from appropriations. And a letter that was sent by appropriations to the. These are, so go through those, look at. We start talking to the agencies and departments that we have jurisdiction over, about their budget. This is what we expect to get from them, is what appropriations sent, this they sent it in October. And these are suggestions on how we look at that, maybe the types of questions we might ask. on what we should be looking for when we go through their budget presentation for them. So it won't be next week, but probably the following week that we'll start that conversation.
I'm wondering, real tight fiscal year. Has the committee given the policy committees any guidance on sort of how to approach? We only got so much money kind of thing.
Well, number one, we don't know what the budget is yet.
It's true,
We'll get that Tuesday.
right?
And then we'll see, and it's not just monies or new programs that they're looking at, it's what are they cutting?
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
what does that mean for Vermonters?
right.
So those are the two things I think that we need to think about. And, you know, the choices that the administration's making, you know, could there be better choices that are made that lessen the effect on Vermonters?
Okay.
I'm just curious. I know I watched the joint fiscal meeting back in December, I think it was. And there's a lot of talk about like the money's not coming in, but like I know from last year, there was a couple grants that I was told that the money was not coming in and they finally came in. It's just like super slow. Is that
That's another problem.
right? And I'm not, and I get it. And for example, the Vermont Historical Society, they had a grant that was supposed to come in. It didn't come in. I'm sure my email had nothing to do with it, but I'm going to say that. But it did finally come in and they didn't think they were going to get it. And I, you know, being on the school board, there's a lot of grants that they were like, oh, it's not going to come in. And then it just came in. Is the money going to come in or is it just coming in slow? And I guess that's what I don't have a full grasp of, because every single time I follow up, the money finally comes in. It just takes forever. And
So that's the issue with the executive orders, right? So if the executive order happens and it reduces a grant and it gets challenged, it takes time through the courts and for the courts to determine whether the executive branch can limit funding that the legislative branch.
Yeah,
right.
a lot of it's in the courts. Yeah.
And so we, you know, most of the time, the executive branch can't stop funding that the legislative branch
Right.
produced. But we don't know that that's going to be the case every single time. So we can't answer that.
I wish we could. It would make our lives a lot easier.
I'd say it's
It
the
is
$1 million
frustrating.
question, but that's not enough money. The $1 trillion question.
Talking room.
Also, I think, you know, some of the things that we need to be thinking about too, the questions that we ask of any of the departments or agencies are, what's your staffing level? Are you reducing staff? Are you not filling positions? How many positions aren't you filling this year because of attrition? Those are the types of things, because that gives us an idea of what can we expect from those agencies and departments.
One of the questions that I have, and maybe this document, which I haven't read through and I will, sort of addresses this, but I think in the past, we've sort of been advised that witnesses are here to provide us with information, not to feel on the hot seat, or in this environment where we're talking about having fewer resources. I guess maybe something that's important to know is just how we do this, how we have these difficult conversations or ask these questions in ways that keep the focus on funds perhaps, and not so much our assessments of people's programs or things of that nature. Is that something that is a fine line, or is that mostly just stick to the rules you learn about nice in kindergarten and it'll be okay?
I mean, I think there's ways of asking questions that don't come out as being combative, or I think it's legitimate for us to ask how many, what's your staffing level looking, and why did you go this route instead of another route, and how did you come to those decisions, and I think, that's the way that we should approach it. It's not like, pound on, you shouldn't be doing that, so. It's more like getting an understanding of how they came to this conclusion. Why they're going down that road opposed to going down another road.
I just want to add, if we see that they have programs that are duplicative,
Yeah.
that's our job to ask on that too, right? So I don't know how much of that we're gonna see, but we're trying to make sure the spend is being spread to the right places. And if it's, if we're doing the same program slightly differently, then we're not doing our, then it's not working. So.
I mean, that's my point is, how many of these organizations, we have 10 different organizations all doing the same thing. And it seems like consolidation would be a logical next step.
Yeah.
But how do you approach that? Do we have the power to do that? And it's really any questions we can ask.
Remember, we're gonna give a recommendation to appropriation. And have that conversation with them. And in the end, they're the ones that have to put all that together. I would remind everyone too, we will be inundated with outside people or organizations that would normally get funding that may have their funding cut by the budget that we're gonna see on Tuesday. And so, they're gonna come to us asking for us to restore them or help them. And I think we need to make sure that we will listen and make recommendations, but there's no promises, and it's going to be an extremely tough budget year this year. And and I'm hoping that the people that come to us to try to intervene on their behalf understand that as well, that there's only so much that we can do. I think we need, and I think more than ever, we really need to evaluate all those programs. And like you said, the redundancies that other programs might be providing the same sort of offers to the Vermonters as they do, so.
This might be premature. We don't have this budget request, but has the appropriations committee given any thought to, giving us some sort of target to work from or anything in terms of budgets?
No. I know they used to tell us like you have X amount of dollars to spend for economic development. I don't even think they didn't do that last year. And
No, I know.
I don't think they're gonna do it this year either.
Okay. So we just sorted out.
If there's something that really catches our eye that we really are passionate about, that it, can really help Vermonters, and it's not in the budget, and we can advocate for that, but.
Or both ways.
But we need to, but I think we really need to remember that things are gonna be really lean.
But that's what I'm thinking.
And, we may be able to provide some recommendation for some dollars. It may not go, to the extent that organizations are looking for. But again, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, we owe it to our constituents. That's what we're here to do. That spending, cut it down,
Everybody likes to talk about it. And nobody likes to do it.
Well,
And that's the truth. I mean, we all like to talk about cutting the government spending until it's our program that's being cut.
Well, there's a constituency for everything.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, and the probably first place that you start budget cutting is in labor. And in my opinion, we're bare bones now, and how much more deeply can we cut staff?
Yeah.
And it has ramifications.
Yeah.
Whether it's getting grants out, the ability to get grants out, and that's why I think, we really need to think about the reports. What do we need for reports? Do we really need a report?
Sure.
How are we using the reports?
Right, yeah. So that's where we will be when we get this started, and when we, Anna Grace, when we start asking next week for people, like we send this letter 23rd of October with our requests so that they know that that's what we're looking for, and if they come in and they don't follow that format, that we're gonna ask them to come back with that form. And just to give you an idea of what we're looking at for next week, Tuesday morning, the Office of Workforce Strategy and Development will be in just to give us a board update and office updates of how that's, it's their year in now, and what are things looking for, how are things looking. In the governor's address at 1:00, and 15 minutes after the address, we'll do a walkthrough of H639. We'll have Representative Shai come in, and have Rick walk us through it. Wednesday, we'll be taking more testimony on H211. All morning. In the afternoon, and remember, we had lunch that day with the captives across the street. From 12 to 1. And then at 1, we have the Human Rights Commission coming in to talk to us. We've never, I don't think, had them in. I think it's good to have that conversation. And at 2:30, we'll have the captives in to talk to us on the record. And then Thursday is 9:00 it's NEK Day. We'll be having people from the Northeast Kingdom, as well as from the Vermont Food Bank joining us from 9 to 10. And Secretary Saunders will be in at 10 to talk to us about their CTE concept overview. It'd be similar to what she did a couple days ago with Senate Education. And we're also inviting Commissioner Smith along with that conversation, and to extend that conversation into adult CTE as well. My thought is that we will probably put a committee bill out on CTE. Work in both. We'll see what the concept is, and also the adult side of CTE, and where are we putting that? Then at 1, we'll have the adult education literacy funding report that just came in yesterday. We've asked Secretary Saunders again to come in, and somebody from the agency administration, and then some of the adult learning services from around the state to come in and give us their thoughts. And then at 2, we have a security briefing, and then we're on the floor at 3. And then on Friday, we're looking at, after of course, we have our legislative interns, and then 15 minutes after the floor, we'll get the Vermont Training Program report. And then at 1 Friday afternoon, legislative council will be in. Rick will be talking to us about the executive order on AI, the president's executive order about AI. And then I think Meek has a couple of people also nationally that will talk to us about that executive order as well. So we'll have an idea of, can we do something? If we do something, are there ramifications, that type of thing? So that's pretty much next week laid out. Does anybody have any reports on the committees that they've been following?
Nothing from healthcare that, relates to.
Energy is nothing at all relating to us.
Representative Bosch and I were entertaining the potential of a transfer of responsibility. I think there were 2 that I had, and I'm not yet back in full. So I was wondering, Dave, if your offer still stands around corrections and institutions,
That would
should you just,
That would be the ideal one that I would be willing to take.
is
I
that?
have not yet done that yet, but with everyone's concurrence, I'll take over his
Yeah,
responsibility.
that's fine, just let them know
Yeah.
next door? Or who was your, who were you working
I
with?
hadn't even started.
Okay,
And I have already greased the skids with the colleagues.
okay.
Just to let them know that might be.
Make sure they check in with the chair though. Make sure the chair knows.
I will also check in with the chair, no, and of course, the administrative assistant too. The font of information.
So on the Environment Committee, they had a really interesting hearing on Tuesday. That was led by Secretary Curley. Oh, they spent most of, I'll back up, they spent most of the week, or a lot of the week, talking about different parts of the governor's executive order on housing. And this hearing specifically was about the part of the directive that asked for looking at the way permits are done and making them sort of more concurrent. And so there was a hearing talking about the administration's efforts. I think there's 9 different agencies that are cooperating, including Agency of Digital Services, to look at the permit structure. And they're basically, what they presented was each department has its own, focuses on making their permit as efficient as possible, but they have not worked together to make the whole system work efficiently. So they're working on that, and they are starting a pilot program focusing on housing developments of 4 to 10 and developing a data dashboard and a way to do permits more concurrently. They said they would come back in a month or two with an update, but it was interesting. It's worth a listen if anyone's interested in that. And they specifically were talking about it from an economic development perspective.
Agriculture, some of you may remember on the floor on Tuesday, ranking member Richard Nelson spoke to being, school lunch day. And they did spend some considerable time this week discussing the Farm to School and Early Education Program, which is grants, and then the local foods incentive for schools. And they took testimony different times throughout the week. And the ask from those 2 agencies, in the interest of briefly keeping in the format, or at least the context of these memos, they want level-based funding of $500,000 for each of those 2 programs. It's level, but each of those 2 programs. And it's obviously a good source of economic driver for local agriculture and workforce and all that. So there's the tie-in for us.
Anything else?
Hi.
Hey, Emily,
How you
how are
doing?
you? How you feeling?
I'm doing better today, but still dealing with these headaches. I don't know what to do. My doctor can't see me till next Thursday, so I'll figure something out.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So transportation is still getting agency reports and updates. They were looking at rural transportation and kind of the cuts and difficulties that are happening there, especially in relationship to workforce. They also were looking at a e-bike program and a program that was helping older Vermonters also access bicycles. And yeah, that was pretty much it. Yes, hi.
I mean, e-bikes, now I'm interested.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Like
they
a-
were talking about the local motion program that is designing e-bike or providing e-bikes to communities around Vermont, and they're trying to create more awareness for just the access to e-bikes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're all doing such a great job.
So, I think another early lunch. And I haven't mentioned it yet, but my bank is open. And I've been making quite a few deposits these last 2 weeks, so just so you know.
Do you know those?
Is it a bank or is it a license?
Oh, it's state charter.
Referred to as person.
I feel like it's more akin to those like gift cards that slowly eat away over time.
Oh,
That's-
no, this
that's-
is, it's interest bearing. It compounds. Okay, all right, so we're back here at 1. What are we doing at 1 now? Oh, that's right, on six, yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah, Joe Valenti will be back in, to go through 2 reports that they sent us yesterday, one on,
Suspicious
yeah, suspicious transactions, so I think that was what we talked to banks about last year, about,
Right.
Yeah, I remember.
people coming in, can they put a hold on their accounts while they try to find out what's going on and assist those people that are probably getting scammed. And then the other report is on course that. It should be interesting and we finish up to our day.
And do we have those reports? Have they been?
Yes,
They've
they're
been
posted.
posted on the reports and resources page under Department of Financial
Should have
Regulation.
it, Joe. Second, yes, yeah. And also, these things that are on your desk, you also have that electronically too. And Grace sent them this morning. Okay, everybody have a good